webinar. Okay, thank you so much. So right now, you will be able to click on the interpretation button and select the channel you prefer. Thank you very much. I give the floor to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Juan David and Michael, for the introduction and also working out the. Welcome everybody to this timely webinar, and thank you for making the time to join us here today. My name is Faith Nataya, and I'm the Program Officer for Africa at Pawanka Fund, and I'll be co-facilitating this space together with my colleague Luchi. So we're truly honored to have also our amazing speakers. It's also a privilege to be able to learn from you today in this space. For those also who have just joined us, please, we have the French interpretation for the French speakers. Please also activate that as we move on with the webinar. So to begin us in a good way, I would like to give the floor to Naserian Narupa, a program officer at Olurkoti, who will be offering our opening invocation. I will also have the pleasure to introduce her more fully later in the session. Naserian, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Faith. My name is Naserian Narupa from Olorkoti Resource Center. And before we begin, I'm going to share a prayer song that our women play before we start any meeting. They sing it with the joy, with the hope, and with the deep unity that comes from living and learning together. So today, by sharing this song, we also share their spirit, their strength, their gratitude, and their belief that every good meeting begins with a blessing. This is more than just a song. It is an invitation for God, our Creator, to walk with us, guide our thoughts, and bless the work of our hands. Through this song, the women ask for peace among us, for the well-being of our families and communities, for health, and for the Creator's presence to fill our time together. So may the words of this song open our hearts, may its message bring us together, and may the Creator journey with us through every discussion and every idea and every moment we share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasirian and the beautiful women, for sharing your joy and grounding us in those words as we begin our webinar. I will now pass the floor to Edna Kaptoyo, who will be starting us with setting the scene for this webinar. Thank you and welcome, Edna.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. On behalf of Pawanka Guiding Committee, I would like to welcome you, all our partners, and for joining us in this webinar for Asia and Africa. As Pawanka Fund, this webinar on natural heritage conservation and guardianship of lands and territories is a series of webinars we've been carrying with our partners from the different 7 sociocultural regions. And today we come together to reflect on the vital work that you, as our Indigenous peoples partners, are carrying out to protect and restore the natural heritage of your lands and territories. And across these 2 regions, we see powerful examples of how communities continue to defend their lands, their forests, waters, sacred places, guided by your traditional knowledge and collective responsibility. Around the world, there is a growing also understanding that Indigenous peoples-led conservation is not only about protecting nature, but it's also about protecting life, lifeways, culture, and the future of our peoples. And in both Asia and Africa, communities are showing that it's possible to care for Mother Earth while strengthening local governance, cultural identity, intergenerational learning, among others. And today, this exchange gives us a space to listen to one another and to recognize the transformations that are already happening on the ground, how men, women, and youth are leading change in the different contexts you come from, and how traditional knowledge continues to guide innovation, solutions, and how Indigenous governance really offers really lasting solutions for the well-being of all. So let this conversation today inspire us to keep building bridges between our lands and territories, our regions, to celebrate our achievement and to strengthen the shared vision of balance, reciprocity, and the care of Mother Earth. Thank you for being here. And on behalf of, together with Pawanka team, and of course, our guiding committee, and also our partners as well, we're happy to work with you in this collective journey of learning, solidarity, and transformation. So thank you, Sorenyo, for being here. And I hand it back to Luchi and Faith.
Thank you, Edna. Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning. Oh, yeah, it's good morning, no? In Africa, it's good afternoon in this part of Asia. So we welcome you all to this webinar. As you know, we sent you the invitation weeks ago explaining that the resource persons that we have invited chose questions to discuss their presentation. No? This is the sharing of the lessons and challenges on the initiatives that they implemented. So let us sit down. You can get your coffee or tea if you wish, and we will listen to our partners' presentation. So what we're going to do is we allow 3 partners to present their sharing, and then we will have a general question for them as a break, no, of the webinar. Okay, for our first speaker today, I'm very proud to present to you our partner from Indonesia. She's Trifonia Ernie. She is dedicated to NGO advocacy work since the beginning of her career, even while still in college, by becoming a community organizer for several indigenous Dayak communities, including Dayak Desa and Jawant in Sekadao Regency and Dayak Iban in Kapuas Hulu Regency for about 15 years. Her unwavering commitment to advocacy work, particularly in ecological justice, has led her to become the chairperson of the Regional Council members of Walhi, West Kalimantan in early 2024. She's going to share with us the experience of the Bela Banwa Talino Association. So, Juan David, we request that you assist us in the presentation of Trifonia. The floor is yours now, Trifonia.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, we can. It's clear. So
Okay.
Juan David is going to share your presentation.
Yes.
Are we going to assist you? Yes, okay.
Okay. Thank you for having me here to share what my organization has done to realize the sovereignty of indigenous peoples over their adat or customary forests or territories. I would like to share our experience in advocating for the recognition of indigenous peoples and their customary territories in Indonesia, specifically in Melawi district, supported by Pawanka Fund in 2023. Okay, next slide. Okay, we can see on the map, this is Kalimantan Island. Kalimantan Island is in Indonesia, yeah. Kalimantan is we know the third largest island in the world and is one of the lungs of the world with a forest area of approximately 40.8 million hectares. But now, according to Global Forest Watch data, in 20 years, from 2021 to 2024, Kalimantan lost of more or less 11 million hectares of tree cover area. And West Kalimantan, where the project was located, is the highest. So the question is, why could this happen? Yes, next slide, please. Yeah, next. Yeah. The maps show the situation in Indonesia, especially in West Kalimantan. If the two maps, the first map is regional status map issued by government about the forest status. The map show the situation if the two maps overlap to this second maps. The second map is the permit concession. Yes. If the map overlaid, so there will no longer be any indigenous people territories. This is the situation recently. Indigenous people territories in Indonesia are controlled by the state and corporation. Next. Yeah. Constitutionally, the existence of the community is recognized, but it is conditional in Indonesia. There are a lot of regulation related indigenous people in Indonesia, but it's not a guarantee the indigenous people rights are fulfilled. The struggle of indigenous people to obtain recognition and protection of their rights has long been fought by indigenous people and culminated when the Constitutional Court, through the Constitutional Court decision number 35 on 2012, granted part of the judicial review of forestry law number 49 of 1999, which confirmed that customary forests or adat forests are not state forests. This is the achievement of Aman. Maybe you know Aman and several NGO in Indonesia. Yeah, the issue of Constitutional Court decision number 35 is a landmark ruling that affirms the right of indigenous people to self-determination, particularly regarding customary territories and customary forests, by strengthening their status as a legal subject. This ruling amends the forestry law that I said before. Next. Yeah, the project that Pawanka Fund had supported to 3 communities in Melawi district to declare their identity as indigenous communities who have the autonomy to regulate and determine their own destiny through advocacy to encourage the recognition and establishment of customary forests. Why is it important? The first, to reduce conflict over overlapping claim of natural resource control. The second, to affirm the right or ownership of indigenous peoples over their adapt or customary territories. And the third, to strengthen their preserved culture, local knowledge, and local wisdom, which are ancestral heritage and constitute the identity of indigenous people. For indigenous people, forests are not only natural resources, but also a source of life, a center of cultural identity, ancestral heritage, and local wisdom, a spiritual symbol as the center of the relationship between human, nature, ancestors, and their creator. So that the indigenous people in these 3 communities still do the ritual because they still have forests and the sacred palace to do the ritual still exists in their territories. Next. Yeah, these are the key activities that we have done during the project. Then the project aims to ensure that indigenous communities gain recognition and have legal access to manage forests by involving women, youth, using local wisdom and ensure the sustainability of all creatures and the preservation of local culture and knowledge and ensure the transmission of knowledge to the younger generation. These key activities that have been carried out to achieve the outputs that have been determined together, and the community is involved to planning these activities. Next. Yeah, these are the result from the project that we can write. But the biggest achievement, I think, this project has yield a significant achievements, and these are also the result of a struggle to reclaim the long lost right of indigenous peoples or indigenous communities. The three villages that we facilitated, supported by Pawanka Fund, have secure approximately 2,000 hectares and have been recognized as indigenous peoples through the local regulation. These achievements are inseparable from the organizational process that build a critical community awareness of their rights as indigenous communities and the importance of building groups that involve women and vulnerable groups. Next. Next, yeah, according to like Lucy said before, that there are two questions related to the challenges of the project and the lesson learned. For the challenges, internally, the challenges are related to the technical issues, like the damage road and etc. But external challenges are where the state right to control increasingly strengthened. So that recognition of the existence of indigenous peoples and their adapt or customary territories is very slow and very complicated, with many requirements, and it's difficult to community to fulfill that. Yeah, next. Yeah, and these are the lesson learned from this project. You can see it on the slide, but promoting community sovereignty over these customary territories requires organizing while respecting their rights of indigenous people. This organizing efforts aims to build critical community awareness so that they remain committed to defending their rights to their customary territories or adat territories. And then the involvement of women, youth, and vulnerable groups in all advocacy processes ensures the sustainability of harmonious life with Mother Earth and its intergenerational transmission. The third, networking and collaborative work between NGO or civil society organization and donor for indigenous communities is crucial to strengthening indigenous communities fight for recognition of their customary territories. Furthermore, tactical partnership with the government are also ongoing, but it's tactically next. Yeah, the end of the project, and we can note or write the next step. There are 4, but in short, my organization continues to follow up the process of an achievement by proposing to destination of customary forest to ensure that the object adat forest legally belong to the community, so that we have to propose to Minister of Forestry of Indonesia to issue the a regulation or decree to adapt forest. Finally, after the COP 30 in Belem, this was indeed a COP where indigenous people were heavily involved, although more in speaking out, not in negotiations. But I would like to talk about the Indonesia context in COP 30. The government still views forest primarily for their economic value, which has the potential to marginalize and ignore community rights. They still view carbon trading is a solution to the climate crisis. But in reality, the companies that are benefiting from the carbon trading scheme are the very companies that are grabbing the land of indigenous peoples. And this happen in West Kalimantan. And at COP 32, the Indonesia government declare that the target for recognition customary of or adat forest was 1,400,000 hectares. This is the target, and we think this is an opportunity we will capitalize on. And of course, this process requires support from various parties, including donors. Yes, and recently, the government had a target 12 million hectares for the social forestry scheme, and adat forest is one of the scheme, and until now only 300 adat or customary territories has recognized by Minister of Forestry of Indonesia, and this is they add more 1.4 million hectares for the target. I hope this is can happen in the next in the future. Okay, that is my presentation. Thank you very much again for this moment and for give me opportunities for sharing. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Trifonia. Oh, you did a very wonderful presentation. Actually, Trifonia is having a bad cough, but
Yeah.
she did it very
Yeah.
smoothly. Thank you, Trifonia. Okay, so just stand by because they might have questions for you later. Okay, for our next speaker, we have our partner, not Tripal, but actually there are 2 speakers who will be sharing. We have Mercedes Limsa and Jaribel de la Torre. Wanda Vid, thank you. So Mercedes, she's a proud member of the Tagbanwa tribe in Palawan and holds a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, major in agronomy from Western Philippines University. For many years, she has been the project coordinator of NATRIPAL, providing support to indigenous communities through awareness building on indigenous people's rights and facilitation of livelihood opportunities, resource management, and other community-driven initiatives. Jaribel, her colleague De La Torre, Jaribel De La Torre, she's an active member also of Tagbanwa tribe from Barangay Napsan, Puerto Princesa City. She holds a Bachelor of Elementary Education from Fulbright College last 2014. She became a community facilitator in their indigenous communities under NATRIPAL to defend and promote the rights of indigenous peoples. She's doing everything she can for the next generation. Thank you, Jaribel. Okay, now, so the floor is yours for both of you, and you can coordinate the presentation of NATRIPAL's initiative.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am. So,
Juan David will share your PowerPoint presentation.
what we're going to do, ma'am, I will present first and then Jai will be follow.
Okay. Sige.
Thank
That's
you.
fine.
Yeah, please share our presentation, my presentation. So, good day, good afternoon from here. So I will be, on behalf of NATRIPAL, I will be presenting our project, which is supported by the Pawanka Fund. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for the support to our tribal indigenous communities here, not only in Palawan, in Asia and other countries. So our project title is Strengthening the Governance System and Domain Claims of the Batak in Sitio Nanabo, Barangay Karamay Rojas, Palawan. Next slide, please. So before I go on, I would like to just a brief introduction. What is NATRIPAL? So NATRIPAL is a Indigenous Peoples Federation of the three tribal groups, the major tribal groups here in Palawan, the Tagbanwa, which I belong, Palawan and Batak. So we were organized and formed in 1991. So we were now in 34 years existence. So our aims is to strengthen the unity and representation of the Batak, Palawan, Tagbanwa as recognized guardians of nature, culture, and rights. So we implement programs involving land rights, natural resources management, and enterprise development, community strengthening education and culture, and advocacy. Next, please. So what we are doing, so with regards to strengthening the organization, there are trainings, meetings, consultations, and for the environmental protection, we do also these reforestation activities and training also on the proper utilization of our resources. We have also the livelihood products. Those are the non-timber forest products. We have the forest wild honey, and then we have the beeswax and crops. Next, please. And then cultural preservation. So we always do that for community activities, community IP festival, and then advocacy on IP's rights, advocacy on the extractive activities that is happening, like for instance, the mining, the monocrop plantation. And for the youth, this is an awareness building for our youth because this is the next generation. So every time we are involving them in our activities. Next, please. So this is the map of the Philippines. So on the left, that's the Philippines, and this is the Palawan map. So we are in the western part of the country. And with the valid points here, the color, that's the area where we implemented our projects. So it's in the central northern part of Palawan. Next, please. So with regards to the Batak, as I said, mostly of them, they are located in the central and northern part of the province of Palawan, and they are more rely on forest resources, gathering of almasiga, risen, rattan, and honey. So along with Sweden farming, hunting, and gathering of wild foods. So they have the strong animistic beliefs that nature spirits, like in the trees, rivers, stones, in other forest resources, it has own spirits. That's how, so that's the Batak. Next, please. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that they are also, the Sweden farming. And aside from that, so they're planting the root crops and vegetables along their, within their Sweden farm. And in 2020, that was the latest census that they have only 1,500 Batak individuals in Palawan because, originally they are small in compared to other indigenous people here, like the Tagbanwa in Palawan. So they are applying for a certificate or the ancestral domain titling with an area of the 5,230 hectares. So this is their indicative map. Next, please. So I highlighted this because not just are related, but Batak are they're part of the nature. So they are deeply connected. We, not only the Batak, we are deeply connected to the nature and the spiritual world. We truly believe that the spirits are the one who are guiding us, protecting our forests. That's why we are deeply connected with the mother nature, with the mother earth. So doing the protecting of environment and continue the traditional practices of the Batak community. They have belief that there is, again, the nature is the home to spirits. So in a local name, sometimes they call it the Diwata. Next, please. So how they promote, again, through deep respect and connection to the forest, because again, these spirits is protecting the forest, and this is their, they are really connected because this is their home. There is the source of their life. So by performing rituals, so like for instance, doing activities inside the forest, before doing like the Sweden farming, that's the example. Before doing it, they have to do some rituals asking for guidance. Is this the area we're in? Are they good for Sweden farming? Are they have a good harvest for that? So if by these rituals, they receive a kind of sign that this is not good, so they're going to do again. And then after that, if for instance, for harvesting, they have also rituals. So every time, whatever they are doing, they're always asking for the guidance from the spirits, from the nature. Next, please. So these are the three objectives of our project. So one is to strengthen the governance system of the Batak community, and then to secure the ancestral domain of Batak community, and then the third one is to create livelihood opportunities of the Batak community. Next, please. So these are the activities that we conducted. We do the orientation on Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. So this act was enacted in October 29, 1997, which is now it's 28 years of the law. So the April law. So this April law is enacted to recognize the IP's rights and delineate their ancestral domain. And aside from that, some other environmental laws, we provided orientation on that, like the forestry laws. And then the second one, since they really wanted to have this title, so we start, actually this is a initial stage of securing all the documents for applying their ancestral domain titling. So there's a lot of requirements that we assisted, like the affidavits, the history, genealogy, census, and a lot more. So those are the activities that we conducted. And also, we enhanced their ancestral domain sustainable development and protection plan. So this plan covers three parts. One is the situation of the ancestral domain, like for instance, the resources within their domain, what are the source of the water, everything, that the situation of the ancestral domain. And then the second part is their plans, like plans for the environment, for their livelihood, for culture, education. And then the last part are the laws, traditional, the policies within their ancestral domain. So that's the three parts of the ADS TPP, which is we conducted it for how many sessions? It's not just one session. And then we also provided simple financial management, because we are looking into if they have this kind of simple livelihood project, so how are they going to manage, wherein all of the Bata community will benefiting from it. So we provided the financial management training. And then assistance in the renewal of the Almasiga permit as one of their livelihood activities. Later on on the challenges, because this is a difficulty for the indigenous people, not only for the Batak, the requirements. It's a costly and long process and tedious requirements. Next, please. Those are the pictures, next. Those are the pictures only of the financial management training. Next, please. This one is during the orientation of the IPRA law, and it was given by Attorney Lara Kakal, our resource person. Next, please. So this one is the enhanced and the final, the enhanced ADS TPP was presented. So we invited the local government units, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the National Commission on Indigenous People, to hear the plans of the Bata community. So this is the one. Next, please. So this one I highlighted also that under this governance, for Batak indigenous communities, and again, not only for them, land is the basis of their governance. Because, in land, it defines the jurisdiction, and it establishes it defines the jurisdiction wherein your policies and laws apply. So for the land, you can practice your cultural practices, and it's a survival also for the land, because where you get your food, for shelter, and other resources. So that's why we are really connected with the forest, the nature, the environment. Next, please. So with regards to the decision making of the Bata community, they have a traditional council called the Manonorogidan. So they called it. This is actually currently they are 8 now, because they are only in a small number. So 8 traditional leaders, and then what they do, they consult their team, the other leaders, elders, the clan and other families before finalizing decisions. So they called the Sarugidan is the process of consultation, of meeting, and consensus building. So the Sarugidan sometimes it doesn't end in one session. Sometimes they don't agree. So it's a process. It's a slow process that it's not like for other like non-tribal groups that they can easily decide whatever they want. But for our community, we easily explain thoroughly to our colleagues, to our members what they're going to decide. And also, we conduct ritualistic guidance. For instance, if we're going to make actions like, as I mentioned earlier, opening of the Sweden farming or entering into sacred places, that's how we respect, that's how we again, we deeply connected with the nature. Next, please. This one is the almasiga that I am mentioning earlier. So this is the resin. This is the one that they are producing and they're selling. The finished product actually, because we are just selling the raw material, so it's like varnish, paints. Those are the products that we know from this almasiga resin. So usually these three their location is in the high area mountain, like 700, 500 elevation. Next, please. So how they transfer this kind of knowledge to the young ones, especially. So we have this kind of documentation and meetings and consultation wherein the elders teach the young ones how to sustain the proper harvesting of almasiga, even the honey. Because again, how can they, if this is an improper gathering, how can they sustain the next into the next generation? They have also one traditional practice is the daes. So this is one of the long practice traditions of the indigenous Batak people. It is, again, this is a way of passing down the traditional healing methods, livelihoods, and cultural practices, even the games, the traditional games to the younger generation. Usually they are doing this in by the river for almost 5 days, sharing of, they're staying there, and then they make some bamboo hut or as a temporary shelter where they can stay for 5 days, just to teach the young generation how to catch fish on the river, how to do the honey gathering, something like that. Next, please. So other activities we conducted, we had this nursery establishment and tree planting of native species within their ancestral domain. We also, since there is a Department of Interior local government memorandum circular that this is an opportunity for the indigenous people to become representative of their community into the barangay council, to municipal council, even in the provincial council, to have this indigenous people's mandatory representative. So we are giving orientation on that. So yeah, I mentioned earlier, we support this DAES, and then we have this Batak Festival of the Youth. Next, please. Yeah, the results. So of those activities that we conducted, increase awareness of their rights, and then the ADCPP, as I mentioned earlier, we presented already, and then the documents for their ancestral domain titling was submitted to NCIP. Part of the project, we provided also the handheld radios for urgent communication, because Sitio Nanabu is 12 kilometers away from the highway. So it's really hard sometimes to communicate with him. But this handheld radio, it's easy for them to communicate, and it helps a lot if they're, like, for instance, for emergency cases. Next, please. Yeah. So of course, since this is one of their livelihood opportunities or source of income. So we assist for the management plan of their almasiga, and then inventory of almasiga trees, and then boundary also, and boundary conflict resolution. So the barangay resolution has been completed, and meeting with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and Palawan Council for Sustainable Development. Next, please. So these are the challenges. So for the ancestral domain titling, again, this is a long process and costly. And it has like 3 phases of titling. First, you have to prepare all the documents, and preparing of documents, it takes not just only a month, sometimes it takes a long, because of sometimes it's the guidelines of the NCIP changes. And then the second one, second one phase of this titling is delineation or the actual survey. In the last phase is the segregation and publication, but this is again, this is a long process and costly. So another challenges is the conflicting mandate of the different government agencies, because uh, dealing with this ancestral domain titling, we need to deal with, like here in Palawan, we have the special law, the Strategic Environmental Plan for Palawan. And in this law, this is RA 7611, there is a zonation for that. And in one of the zonation is the core zone, wherein this Almasiga tree is located. But in the law of the PCSD, it should not be, and you can attach. But then again, usually the indigenous people are living in those areas, their source of livelihood. So that's one of the challenge. And then costly requirements for this permitting. So this is from the DNR. And then weak support of local government units. Next, please. So this is ways forward. So we continue strengthening awareness building of the IPs. So we don't stop for that. We continue, and then strengthen the participation of women, IP youth in community activities. So for forest protection, transfer of cultural knowledge, leadership. And also we need to like resource mobilization for the next stages on ancestral domain, and maybe not only maybe for the ancestral domain titling, for other activities in the community. Next, please. And then, yeah, we need to do a follow-up. Actually, we continue this, so that's why we keep on do the follow-up meetings, dialogues with these agencies, particularly for the permitting of their Almasiga permit. Next, next, please. I think this is. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you,
Salamat.
ma'am.
Thank you, Mercedes. Okay. So we shall follow with Jaribels. Is that the
Yes
same
po.
organization?
Not
Natripal, no?
Not triple, but they are the one who directly implementing. But we assist. We assisted.
Sige. Can we have Jaribels? Medyo gahol na tayo sa oras kasi. Okay, Jaribel. Wanda Viet, can we share Jaribel's presentation?
Good afternoon, everyone. Please share my presentation.
Pwede, mas kasing haba ba yun nung kay Mercedes?
Gawin lang po nating madali mo.
Oo,
We can
kasi
make it
medyo
easy. Okay.
Okay, Wanda Viet, can we share?
Please share.
Yes, Lucy, I am sharing the screen. Please give me a minute. Okay. Insane. Some issues with PowerPoint.
Please stand by. Maybe some of the questions here have been already answered, no? Rhoda asked Mercedes, what are the methods your community used to preserve culture? I think she discussed that already in the latter part of her presentation. We're going to ask Trifonia later, no? A question from from Emmanuel. So we shall have that later. And then now we have additional presentation by Natripal.
Huh?
Lucy, could you please confirm? I have two links of Natripal, but it goes to the same presentation, the presentation I just shared.
Oh,
So
wait.
If maybe Yarbel, you have your presentation, and if you can share
Do you
it
have
by
it, Jaribel? Do you have your presentation?
Wait.
If you can be the one to share.
yeah.
We're having some technical problems, I think, with WandaVid. Okay, while Jaribel is looking for it, you have already. Okay, I'm looking at the chat box for questions. Okay, there you go. We'll go to the questions later. Okay ka na,
You can
Jaribel?
see it. You can
Oo,
see
kasi
you can see the presentation, ma'am.
yeah. Medyo mahaba ito, no? Kung pwede mong
Okay,
i-condense lang.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. We can make it
Oo.
easy.
Yes, kasi kulang na tayo sa oras.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Sorry,
The
Yarbel.
participant.
Sorry to interrupt you. If you could please click on full screen so we can have a better view of your presentation. Click down at the right, you will find an icon with a screen, and that is next to the icon of the book. At the bar down at the right, down, you will find exactly something like that. An icon with a book, and next to the book, there is a screen.
Sa baba pa, Jaribel. Baba. Tapos kanan. Ayan, yung libro. Libro dito sa yung may screen, nakikita mo yung icon? Kung saan mo ine-expand yung yung percentage ng image. Ito to, sa baba. May screen dito na icon. Hindi, dito pa sa baba ng iyong monitor.
Yep. Go down.
Sa baba pa.
Very close. You're very close. Yes. Go to the
Nakalagay
right.
notes. Nakikita mo yung notes? Sa screen mo, sa baba. Doon sa baba na kanan. Yung icon ng monitor.
Wait.
Don't worry. I think it's fine if you do it that well. We can still read the
Sige, start na natin.
sentences. Yes,
Can I
don't
start?
Hindi mo.
worry.
Oo, sige, okay na kasi masyado na tayong naantala na yung kwan.
Okay.
Hindi mo makita yung icon ng screen?
Hindi ko masyado makita.
Yung mismong monitor mo, hindi mo makita? Parang may libro dito sa lower left, ay lower right. Kung nasan itong mga yung toolbar, nakita mo? Hindi dun, dito sa mismo. O sige, anyway, start mo na. Start mo na,
Sorry,
please.
sorry.
Don't worry. I think, Luchi, that we can continue.
Sige.
Mhm.
Umpisahan mo na.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I am going to share the participatory assessment and monitoring of ancestral waters of the West Coast Tabanua of Puerto Princesa. It's an ongoing initiative aimed protecting and preserving the ancestral waters associated resources of the Tabanua community. So the Tagbanwa community has been actively involved in the protection of their ancestral lands and waters, including the the community has established an invisible fence their commitment to conservation. So the project also involves capacity building initiatives to empower local communities and stakeholders to effectively manage and protect their ancestral waters. This includes training on sustainable resources management, environmental law enforcement, and community-based monitoring. So the objectives, the background, the Tagbanwa indigenous communities in West Coast of Puerto Princesa City main source of livelihood are coming from the ancestral domains and ancestral waters. They are facing difficulty in fishing due to illegal activities happening within their ancestral waters. The Tagbanwa indigenous community of 3 barangay from Simpukan, Bagong Bayan, and Labsan applied for a unified CADTI. So as what you can see, this is the map of Simbana CADTI. We have 49,000, more or less 49,000 hectares located at Barangay Simpukan, Bagong Bayan, and Dapsan, Puerto Princesa City. So we have 1,997 households, 6,773 individuals who benefits from this project. So the objectives is to conduct actual survey and monitoring of ancestral water. This involves data gathering and information on the current situation of ancestral water sources and to identify potential threats and develop strategies for conservation and management. The next one is to conduct assessment on marine resources within the ancestral waters in Barangay Napsan, Simpukan, and Bagong Bayan of Puerto Princesa City. So by conducting assessment, we can identify the issue like pollution, overfishing, and coral reef degradation. So this information allows us to develop strategies to protect marine ecosystem and conserve biodiversity and ensure the sustainable use of marine resources. So these are the activities we conducted. So we conduct ancestral water survey, conduct of regular ancestral water patrolling and monitoring, capacity building on participatory assessment of marine resources of ancestral water. Then we have community meetings and procurement of materials and equipment. So one of our activity is establishing ancestral waters boundary through installation of mooring buoys. So the mooring buoys serve as markers to the ancestral waters, helping to prevent unauthorized fishing or exploitation. It is a way to safeguard the community, the livelihood, and the cultural integrity. So it helps reducing conflict over fishing, protecting marine biodiversity, and support community-led conservation initiatives. And last, we promote eco-friendly tourism. So we also have capacity training on marine assessment and actual survey. So Capacity training on marine assessment and actual survey is to build skills and knowledge for people to effectively monitor and manage marine resources. Then the data from the conducted assessment can be used to develop policies for effective marine conservation. Then we provide radio-based and handheld radios for our Bantay Cadis and for patrol boat. So for the fast communication and effective coordination, emergency response and rapid reporting while on the monitoring. So we have community meeting together with the Bantay Cadti. This is regular meeting of the Bantay Cadti, and we have one community meeting in 1 month, and through these issues and problems we encountered are being reported to the council and to the community, and also we have planned we are going to have a plan to formulate or how to address the issue we encountered. So that's the photos during patrolling within the ancestral waters. The Bantay Cadti have conduct regular patrols, and there are many instances where emergency patrolling is done, and there are reports of having illegal activities. So these are the other activities we conducted: coastal cleanup, capability building of Bantay Cadtis who lead the patrolling and monitoring, provide information education campaign for the IP community and local government unit for the purpose of collaboration and conservation. So these are the photos during coastal cleanup in Barangay Nabsan and Barangay Bagong Bayan, together with the other community and the Bantay Cadti, with the participation of the Barangay Council. So this one is capability building of activities. So this is a paralegal training for the Bantay Cadti, and youth and women have strong participation in these activities. So in environmental protection, so it is a positive trend. So this one is land verification, nursery, and roving in ancestral, not only in ancestral water. So we also have patrolling within the forest. So these are the result. So the result is many illegal activities are being caused, like large fishing vessels coming from other provinces, neighboring municipalities, while using small fish net. So catching people using compressor within the sanctuary. So, and we filed case at the PNP. A connection has already been established between the IP community, the PNP, Marines, and other government agencies for the protection and conservation of our environment. So the result also is decreased cutting of mangroves at the barangay, and the Barangay Council of Barangay Nabsan and other government agencies are alert that many mangrove trees are being cut or destroyed. So the Barangay Council of Nabsan and Simpukan issued warning to their constituents to avoid engaging illegal activities because it destroys marine resources, especially the corals and mangrove that serve as fish habitat. Through the efforts of the Bantay Cadti and the IP communities, the government is gradually recognizing the role of IP and what they are advocating for. So we also, the barangay, one of our Bantay Cadti is Barangay Council of Barangay Nabsan, and he passed an ordinance declaring an area in Barangay Napsan as a marine turtle conservation area, and an ordinance requiring every boat to have its own trash bin. So from the activity we conducted, so this is the challenges. The Bantay Kati are not deputized. The Bantay Kati are not yet deputized, so their actions are limited. That's why it's a big advantage to have some government agencies working together with them. So like PNP, DNR, PCSD, and other agencies. Conflict of policy between Department of Fisheries and the ALG Memorandum Circular banning the use of compressor, and the lack of institutional support from national government agencies and local government council of Barangay Simpukan and Bagong Bayan. So I think that's all. I'm going to stop in this side. So this is the vital program, the cultural communities inside the ancestral domain. So environmental protection, strengthening ancestral domain defense system, ancestral domain confiscated set of compressor and filing case to the PNP. So that is the result of our patrolling and monitoring during on the area of Simbanap Cavite. So cultural preservation, currently our culture and traditions are continuously being practiced, and it is being passed down to the youth who are now our partners in keeping sacred customs alive. We also have the IPID School, which is a symbol of our rich culture. So cultural preservation, the decision regarding to the land, territories, natural resources, cultures, and tradition will be made through Surugidan and by the virtue of concessions decision from our elders. So IP education, currently our culture and tradition are continuously being practiced, and it is being passed down to the youth who are now our partners in keeping the secret customs alive. We also have IPID School. So that's the livelihood. Other social services, rendering service during Brigada Escuela. So the relationship for me of people to the nature is rooted in a deep sense of belong and stewardship, when the land is not just a resource, but it's a sacred trust. Spiritual practices, rituals, and ceremonies are often tied to specified places, seasons, and natural cycles, reinforcing their connection to the land and the spirits in habitats. That's all for my presentation. Dakulang salamat po.
Salamat din. Thank you so much, Jaribel. The effect of the photos on us, no, is very effective. We witness how their organization carried out their initiative. Thank you so much, Jaribel. I give the
Thank you
floor
po.
now to Faith.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Juan David, we want to project the next speaker. Thank you very much. So next speaker is Naserian, whom I had already slightly introduced. She's a Kenyan psychologist, literature researcher, and a strong advocate for gender equality and Indigenous women's rights. She's from the Maasai community in Kenya. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree with a double major in psychology and literature, and serves as the program officer at Olorkoti Resource and Knowledge Center. She's leading the initiatives on sustainability, women's empowerment, and community well-being. Naserian continues to champion the voices, rights, and knowledge of Indigenous communities across Kenya. Naserian, you have the floor, and I will just share your presentation. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello everyone again. My name is Naserian Narupa, and I work with Olorkoti Resource Center as a program officer. And I'm going to share our initiatives. And I'm sorry, I'm going to turn off my camera because it's interfering with my internet connection. But okay, so I will walk you through our initiatives, focusing on revitalizing traditional knowledge, language, and strengthening resource management systems of the Maasai peoples in Transmara. Next slide, please. Olorkoti Resource and Knowledge Center was established in 2011. It is based in Transmara, Narok County, Kenya. It works with 62 women groups, 5 youth groups, and 1 elder group. It is led by 11-member board, and our initiative focuses on enhancing the revitalization of traditional knowledge, language, resource management systems, and self-governance among the Maasai indigenous peoples who are based in Transmara, Narok County. So the current situation of land in Transmara is that there is increased subdivision and privatization of community land. There's shrinking of grazing areas, seasonal pastures, and also the communal spaces. There's also pressures from investors, population growth, farming expansion, and climate stress. We also experience the loss of biodiversity and indigenous plant species that were initially used for medicine, food, and also to perform rituals in ceremonies. This directly affect and threaten the continuity of traditional knowledge. Next slide, please. Why this initiative matters? It's because our community in Transmara is facing rapid changes like the language decline among previous slide.
Sorry.
Language decline among the youth due to schooling systems and migration. We also face land fragmentation, climate shifts, the rising tourism influence in Saparingo especially, and the cultural weakening. And women and youth still lack a strong participation in governance and land-related decision-making. We also face struggle with human and wildlife conflict, water scarcity, and loss of grazing lands for their livestock. These challenges threaten both our cultural continuity and our resource management systems, which makes this initiative relevant. And this initiative will help to revitalize and protect our traditional knowledge before they are lost. Next slide. On the key activities, we have carried out intergenerational dialogues between elders, youth, women, and children. and also men to rebuild conversations around culture, land, and also resource practices. We have conducted training workshops on traditional leadership and self-governance, especially focusing on forest and wildlife protection in areas like Saparingo, Naretoi, enhancing their works that they have already been doing in other projects, like developing their biocultural protocol to ensure that they protect their own resources. We have had meetings with the Kenya Wildlife Services to ensure that the land remains protected and the issue of wildlife and human conflict is resolved. We are also carrying out activities to restore vegetation cover from charcoal burning and the deforestation that has been brought by the large-scale plantation of sugarcane in Transmara. We have also held a consultative forum with schools and community leaders to strengthen the integration of local language and traditional knowledge into the Kenya curriculum systems. We are also doing trainings on traditional food systems and medicinal knowledge to strengthen resilience to climate change and health challenges. This is to ensure that even the young people and everyone can identify medicinal plants and foods, and also to protect and revive them. We have also done dissemination of lessons learned through social media, schools, and also community forums. The children are also learning their traditional ecological knowledge so that they can pass it down to the generations to come. We have managed to the last time we managed to secure funding for one of our women to attend COP30, and she spoke through the local radio to share her experiences, and this will encourage other women and the community to participate fully. We also participate in other national processes such as the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan to domesticate the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework to ensure that the IPs are included in the process and also later in the reporting on its implementation. Next slide. On our achievements, we have increased community-led efforts to revitalize traditional knowledge and cultural practices, strengthened self-governance and traditional leadership structures, improved climate resilience through indigenous food systems and medicinal knowledge, stronger collaboration between schools, community elders, and the Olorkoti Center. Through these achievements, through this initiative, we have achieved a motivated community actively restoring traditional food systems and medicines, and also a community that understands, values, and practices revitalization with a clear plan for engaging the schools and also the local and national leaders. Next slide. On the contribution to policy and decision making, this initiative has created platforms where Indigenous voices are heard in county and also the local level decision-making spaces. It has supported the implementation of UNDRIP and General Recommendation 39 awareness at the community level. It has contributed to the curriculum transformation by engaging the teachers and also the students in schools. and also by recording the oral histories and bringing elders together with youth, we are revitalizing the Maasai language. Our engagement with schools has supported integration of indigenous knowledge into the school curriculum, and the initiative strengthens the public policy by generating the evidence for policymakers and creating spaces where indigenous voices can also influence decisions. The project supports self-determination by empowering the community to manage land, practice governance, and assert their rights. We are also doing socialization of land laws so they can also be aware of their land rights, and this implementation is done at the community level. Next slide. We are on our way forward. We will continue to enhance the sharing of the Maasai traditional knowledge and its connection to land and natural resources. We'll continue to capture songs, poems, oral histories, and cultural practices to continue enhancing the community activities that they're already doing. We will continue to showcase resource management, sacred sites, and sustainable land use, and also build more alliances with the local conservancies in Transmara. We will continue to disseminate documentation to community and to the wider audiences. This initiative is a restoration of identity, uh, our language, and land stewardship. We believe that this work will continue to strengthen resilience, the knowledge transfer, and self-governance for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation, Nasirian. That caps our first part. That's still the first part. We still have 3 speakers to share their experience. But at this point, I would like to know if there are questions that you would like to raise, because I saw one question here in the chat box from Emmanuel. Still, he's very engaged, no, in the sharing. He's saying there is a lack of institutional support as a challenge, and I think that is true for the previous speakers from Trifonia and from Natripal, Mercedes and Jaribel. We saw that there is still a lot of challenge as far as advocacy work, no, it has a long way to go. Could you tell us, said Emmanuel, how you will sustain the results of your work despite this challenge? Can we hear from, just a one-liner or two-liner from the previous speakers? Can you tell us how you are dealing with the lack of support still from concerned agencies, institutional support from other communities, etc.?
Okay, good afternoon again. So for the question from Sir Manuel, so for us to sustain the protection we are providing for our ancestral domain, we continue to coordinate with the government agencies, and we are undertaking this initiative for our generation, and we will continue to show the government agencies that this is our life and this is where we live.
That's a very inspiring statement, no, from Jaribel. Do we have a similar response or a sharing from Trifonia regarding the same question?
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. Yeah, there are a lot of reasons, I think. Yeah, Aman noted that there are 2,161 indigenous people or communities in Indonesia. 750 of communities are in Kalimantan, and 216 is still exists in West Kalimantan. They live in more or less 5 million hectares of 14 million hectares territories in West Kalimantan. Actually, like my presentation, all the indigenous people territories claimed by government, and then they give to corporation like oil palm plantation, mining, lodging, even national park. And then in 2 million from
Excuse me, Trifonia. I think the
Yeah.
question is, how will you sustain the results of your work? I mean, you have already started, so how do you deal with the challenges?
Yeah, but I try to answer the question in the chat room, Lucy,
Oh, okay. You did already?
from Emmanuel.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, also that was already answered?
Yeah,
Okay.
not yet. Yeah,
So he was asking, no, about the sustaining the results of your initiative. Because we know that we're facing challenges, so
yeah,
BBTA or your organization will continue to
yeah,
deal with the challenges by building other relationships, no, with similar communities. You're
yeah,
saying that there's so many other communities having similar challenges, issues with regards to the protection of their territories.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We like I said in my presentation, that we continue to propose to the Ministry of Forestry uh, to issue the decree on adat forest, and we do the advocacy with the our networking in national level, like perkumpulan Huma, uh, Badan Registrasi Wilayah Adat, how to say in English, I don't know, Aman, Aman, and they know the members of the like task force of adat forest with the government, and we ask them to help us to negotiate to the government in the national level to issue the recognized recognition for the communities or indigenous people territories, like that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Trifonia. So I think we can already move. How about Nasirian? Can you answer also the same question? How to sustain the gains of your initiative despite the challenges?
Yeah, we believe that change starts with us, and to ensure that the project is socialized, they have to own the project far beyond the project implementation and build relationships at different levels in order to enhance the work at community level. We hope that the Learning and Knowledge Center we have developed over the recent years will remain a space to share and to engage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's a challenge to the youth, no? They will sustain, they have to sustain what we have started. Okay, thank you so much. So we can move to the next speaker. I'm going to call on Ergilio Ferreira Vicente of the Centro Juventud de Covalima. He's going to present their initiatives, learnings and challenges. Juan David, please. Okay. Ergilio, or we call him Eggy. Is that right, Ergilio? Can we first introduce Ergilio, Juan David? Do we know? Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Ergilio.
Yes,
we are
I
waiting.
am.
Yeah. We're waiting for Juan David to share the slide, your handsome face and your bio note. Do we have it, Juan David?
Yes, I was sharing my screen. I think that Ergilio was sharing his screen at the same time, and probably that's
Ergilio,
why.
you please allow us to introduce you first.
So
yes,
please.
please let me.
Yes, okay, there you are. Thank you, Juan David.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Ergilio is a Timorese community development practitioner. He has over 20 years of experience in community development work, focusing on rural communities, youth engagement, customary and cultural practices of indigenous people. Under customary and cultural practices, he successfully revitalized the culture of Tarabandu, or the customary law, in 11 villages in Covalima municipality. He is currently the board of the CYC. He sits as at the board of the CYC and also the convener of Indigenous People of Asia Solidarity Fund, or IPAS, for Timor-Leste for the period 2025-2027. So Ergilio, Eggy, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Can you enlarge that, your screen?
Yes.
Okay. Gracias.
Okay, everyone. Let me give you a brief information about Tara Bandu. The term of Tara meaning hanging, and Bandu meaning regulations. Overall, the meaning behind of the Tara Bandu, we discovered that to maintain the balance of life on Earth, which is used to manage and regulate human interactions with each other, human interaction with animals, human interaction with the environment and the creations. You can see in the picture a ritual ceremony of the Tara Bandu at the right side, while at the left side, community leaders hand over customary law to the local authority. Just for your information, the Tara Bandu has existed for centuries, predating of Portuguese colonialization in the 16th century. And also, it's it's prohibited to practice during the occupation under Portuguese colonialization and also under control of Indonesian regime. We discover the Tara Bandu defined as a traditional Timorese custom that enforces peace and reconciliation through the power of public agreement to define social norms and practices to a given community. So we consider the Tarabandu is a Timorese system of customary law. As I mentioned earlier, it's used to manage and regulate all human interactions with the environment. But the Tarabandu become very significant due to the less practice and intervention. I mean, from the government during occupation, and this caused a discontinued transfer of knowledge to the younger generation. Then we experience that situation up to now. So our goal of this project that under support of Pavanka to resurrence is resurrence the culture of the Taraban into practice and document all the processes in order to maintain and transmit to the new generation for its existences. We need to document because of only few elders can tell the full package of the Tarambandu itself. If we are not doing this, then it be fully lost. One of the important culture that connected people to the Mother Earth. So, as this goal, our proposal to highlight how the Tarabandu strengthens indigenous governance, protects ecosystems, and sustains cultural identity. Here is a key activities being implemented. The first one, we explore the story of the Tarabandu from the elders. This is very important because not all elders can tell the story, a full package of the Tarabandu itself. And then even in relation to the governance, indigenous governance, that a clan that assigned for a particular responsibility cannot tell the complete story. That's why explore the story, one of the key important activities. And the second, explore the existence of indigenous governance and its rule related to the Tarabandu law. And the third, explore community resources to effectively contribute to the project. To ensure that the community can actively engage and then contribute to the project and then own the project itself for its sustainability. Then, once we explore the story, we formulate the Tarabandu law. Then we continue to the fifth activity, conduct a ritual ceremony. This is the highest part of the activity to legalize the law of the Tarabandu. Cultural ritual here in the context of Timor-Leste, it's more powerful, more respect in compared to state law. Then all the activity that goes through a ritual ceremony automatically powerful. And sixth activities, publication of the Tarabandu law that legalized through a ritual ceremony. Then all the key activities we have to document. What we practice here is film all the key steps. Why we filming? Because only few elders can tell the story. Once we filming, we know the steps, then can tell the story alive. We filming this because mostly in Timor-Leste related to all cultural is transferred verbally. Although in some case, filming is prohibited, but we ask permission to the elders to allow us a document through filming. Objective of the Tarabandu here, of course, can protect ecosystem, what we learn from, strengthen a governance, because it reinforces community decision making and self-determination, promote inclusivity because of engagement of elders, women, and youth in the territorial of guardianship. In here, we focusing two things, two actors. One is elders. Second is youth. Elders, how we can obtain the full story. You targeting youth that engage more youth in this project because they are the one actors to continue, understand and continue the practice of the culture. That's why revitalize the knowledge. We ensure that the intergenerational transmission can happen in these states. The more important one is ownership. Since we are setting the law locally, as we are setting matters locally, as have done for centuries, participation and distribution rules and responsibility of community. Because this one is defined in indigenous governance system. The next slide, actually what we explore and we learn from during implement that project. We discovered that for self-determination and governance, Tarabandu directly strengthened indigenous people's right to self-determination in several ways. One is community-led lead governance. So, meaning customary law, we call it Tarabandu, it's not imposed from outside. It exists and practice from our elders from generation to generations. We learn that it's strengthened cultural sovereignty. Reviving the Tarabandu restores ancestral practices that were suppressed under colonial rule during Portuguese time for 150 years and under Indonesian regime 24 years. Ownership and accountability. We discover Tarabandu enact through ritual ceremonies, community recognize the rules as the round. We discover resilience and sustainability by embedding ecological balance and reciprocity into governance. Tarabandu safeguard natural heritage while empowering communities to adapt to risk as landslide or system cultivation, that's as mostly Timorese farmers practices. The more important one is we discover complementary with state law. Under Decree Law number 9, 2016, Government of Timor-Leste recognizing indigenous practices. Tarabandu demonstrate how indigenous governance can coexist with a formal system, strengthening indigenous people's political voice and legitimacy. So in short, let me argue, guardianship of territories through Tarabandu is both cultural revival and a political empowerment. It ensures that indigenous people define how their lands are managed, how knowledge is transmitted, and how resilience is built, the essence of as a part of a self-determination component. Our achievement, just to let you know, so far we revitalized the culture of the Tarabandu in 11 villages out of 30 villages successfully. We discovered that in the context of Tarabandu, there are some similarity and different practices among the clans. But again, it's given us the same meaning, as I mentioned early in the first slide. We also discovered existence of a community governance with defined role and responsibility related to the Tarabandu law. A fourth part, community response is very, very high because we are successfully bring back the loss of the culture into practices. This is how community that we capture community highly participated into the project. In some cases, they also contributed many things to the successfully of the project. And then lastly, municipal authority adapted. And the request for expansions to the other villages with the same concept that been done by CYC so far. Our next plan, we are planning to cover the rest of villages, at least 1 or 2 villages within a post administrative. In Covalima, there are 7 post administrative. So far, we covered 4 post administrative. So remaining 3 post administrative. And then and another one is how we plan to expand to neighbor municipality so that we can learn from it. Let's say to allow us generate a lesson learned. Our challenge. Wait. I missed this challenge. Where are they? I have a challenge. The important challenge for us only few elders can serve as a source person to tell the story, complete story about the Tarabandu. I'm not sure in 10 years, maybe no longer elders, then we cannot capture. We cannot explore the story of the Tarabandu. But luckily, we already completed in 11 villages, some similarity and differences already in our hand as a reference. The second challenge, project-oriented, supported by several agencies, they are not fully explore the story of the Tarabandu, then become mislead the essential part of the Tarabandu itself. We discover that one agencies facilitate the project of the Tarabandu in other villages is quite different with the origin one, because not fully engaged elder to better understand a full story and the steps of the Tarabandu. The step itself failed to follow. This is one of the great challenge that we are facing right now. And the next, we learn from our activities, build Tarabandu itself, a build relationship between people, nature, and the spiritual world. So here we reflected some important part that secret rituals as governance, balance and reciprocity, spiritual accountability, intergenerational transfer, and guardianship of the territory. So in short, the Tarabandu is a living system where people, nature, and the spiritual world are inseparable. It ensures that conservation is not only about resources, but about honoring ancestral governance and sustaining life in its fullest sense. As I mentioned earlier, youth and elders as key actors in this project. Elders play as a central role as knowledge holders, while youth engage as learners and participants. This is how young people can carry for responsibility for the future practices. We engagement of significant of young people, we ensure that intergenerational exchange fully apply for sustainability of the Tarabandu law. Innovation and complementary between knowledge system. We discover and we learn, then we write down these lessons. Tarabandu initiative shows how traditional and scientific knowledge can complementary each other. As I mentioned earlier, oral transmissions actually a common practice here. But now with the video documentations, we document all the steps, all the story, how we combine technology, we combine knowledge system as an innovation to maintain. Once no longer elders can tell the story, we can open the video, then we learn it from there. Partnership and networking, successfully we built this one. Community elders, youth, and local authority fully engaged. Even ministers or Secretary of State, they are involved. We invited to witness all the activities. But more important here, our elders provide cultural legitimacy, youth bring energy and documentation skills, and local leader help harmonize Tarabandu with state law. As I mentioned earlier, Decree Law number 9, 2016 recognize the existence of a customary law. So overall, Tarabandu is sustained through alliances of elders, youth, communities, and partners, making Tarabando or resilient and sustain for the future. As you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, for public access, all the video we uploaded. Feel free to go to the link provided to see all the activities that we documented through a video. What we discovered so far as our expected outcome, the Tarabando enhance recognition of the Tarabando as a living Indonesia's governance system. We're proud to have this project under support of Pawangka. Strength alliances for territorial governance in Timor-Leste and beyond. We hope that we can expand. Documented cultural indicators of well-being linked to the Tarabando. And for closing, from our point of view, Tarabando is more than a law. It's a living covenant between people and Mother Earth. By revitalizing Tarabando and the support of Pawangka, Covalima, particularly, demonstrate how indigenous knowledge system can guide humanity towards balance, resilience, and collective well-being. Challenge, I'm sorry, challenge actually misleading to this slide, only to a challenge that I mentioned earlier. Here are some of the photos of how elders conduct a pre-ritual as permission from the ancestors, conducted at the sacred house. This is sacred places sites. Yeah, the same engagement of young people, women. Some of the photo that we have, mostly when we conduct the ritual ceremony, always we sacrificed animals. Commonly red pigs or white red chickens. Then this is symbolic materials. So once ritual completed, prohibited materials will be hanging in a public spaces and among the borders of the village. This is one of the signage, no hunting. Yeah. Now we modify a little bit. We ask permission to elders, because if we go here, the right side image, the symbolic materials is getting dry. It will be not lasting for long. That's why we generate a signboard lately last year, so that it will be a bit lasting, and also for visibility. So once the signage symbolic materials is disappear, then for the outsider people will not know Tarabando regulation that's erected in a particular village. I think that's all from my part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Egi. Very wonderful presentation. What strikes us, I think, is each one of the partner organizations has a covenant with Mother Nature in the conservation and protection of their land and territories. Thank you so much. We will call on our next speaker. We have from SILDA, Randy Bayate.
Hello. Sorry. Hello, good afternoon.
Randy, you're presenting?
Yeah, no,
I mean, you're sharing? Yeah,
no.
okay. Let me
Yeah,
introduce you first. Randy Kamana Bayate. He's from the Mansaka indigenous community and a dedicated advocate for indigenous people's rights. Over the years, he has played an active role in organizing and facilitating community-based training and workshops that deepen the understanding and practice of indigenous people's self-determined and sustainable development. And he has been the executive director of SILDAP, Southeastern Mindanao, since 2017, leading efforts that empower marginalized communities, particularly indigenous groups, through self-determined and sustainable development. The floor is yours, Randy.
Thank you very much, Miss Lucy, and good afternoon, good morning, everyone. From well, I'm from the Philippines, of course, and yeah, I think someone will um, share my presentation.
Yes, Juan David, please.
Okay, thank you so much. I've seen many participants coming from different countries, so yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Interregional.
Yes.
Interregional sharing and learning. Yeah. Okay, go ahead,
Thank you
please.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for having me in this afternoon to share some experiences and perhaps lessons learned when we implement the project entitled Safeguarding Indigenous Peoples' Territory and Cultural Heritage of Mansaka Tribe. But before going any further, yeah, as mentioned by Miss Lucy, my name is Randy and I'm a Mansaka from southeastern part of Mindanao, Philippines. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the project that was approved last 2023, but it was fully implemented in 2024. And in fact, because of the challenges, we applied for NTE, the extension of implementation, the no-cost extension in 2025, first quarter of 2025. So that was the project is entitled again, Safeguarding Indigenous Peoples' Territory and Cultural Heritage of Mansaka Tribe. Next, please. All right. So the project objectives of this project was at the end of 1 year, traditional knowledge in 3 IP communities. These are the 3 communities, the Panangan, Libay-Libay, and Gubatan, transmitted to the younger generation for protection and preservation and promotion of their cultural heritage. The second is, at the end of 1 year, the 3 IP communities have strengthened their environmental protection and ancestral domain management. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah, the background and context of this project is basically the project aimed to establish mechanisms in how to safeguard indigenous peoples' territories and the cultural heritage of these 3 target communities of Mansaka tribe. By the way, this is part of the municipality of Mako, province of Davao de Oro. As mentioned, the barangays are Gubatan, Libay-Libay, and Panangan. Outlined activities are based on project objectives for the 1 year project duration, which is to transmit the traditional knowledge from elders to the younger generation. Next, please. All right. Now, this project for the safeguarding IP territories, it also supports and complement to protecting the territory. That is the very key to strengthen the right to self-determination because it is within the ancestral land and that cultural practices, traditional governance, and sources of livelihood are being practiced and sustained. The previous speakers also mentioned that now within the ancestral domain, everything is there. Without our own ancestral domain, we cannot truly achieve the self-determined development, nor we can decide the direction of our own community. Therefore, protecting our territory is the very first step in safeguarding the both culture and our rights. Next, please. And again, part of how does this community decide? Part of the formulation is the previous speakers also mentioned about the ancestral domain sustainable development and protection plan. Now, the inclusion of these community policies, because in our area, the ADS-DPP is in the municipal level. Now, question, how to ensure that those plans from the community, from community levels perspective, how does to ensure to that will be implemented or that should be carried out or include in the municipal level planning and development. Now, the inclusion of community policies such as policy on the entry of migrants, that's one. Formulation of the community priorities or CDP, which will be lobbied by the community leaders to the barangay or to the municipal level and other stakeholders depending on what projects or programs that the community has identified. Third point, part of how this decision on lands and territories, the issuance of National Commission's Indigenous Peoples Region 11 Regional Advisory number 001-2009 or 2019, the implementation of CALOM and CADLA. This prioritizes the community-based decision-making that reinforce now on the community decision on how they are going to implement the policy on entry of migrants. That's just one policy. There are lots of community policies, but it was reinforced by this CALOM and CADLA issued by the NCIP. Last point, the indigenous political structure have been recognized and strengthened from the barangay level to the municipal or the up to the provincial level, who serves as the body that leads in the process of consultation and decision making, because this IPS are the highest policy making body of the community. These are elders, recognized elders of each communities. Now, in our area, basically in our province, they are organized from barangay up to the provincial level. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of women, how does this women youth play in decision making? Women are also vital bearers of knowledge. That's very true, no? And we SILDAP are promoting that women has every decision, every policy, there should have a lens of indigenous women. Why? Because they have also vital role in transmitting the indigenous knowledge. How about the youth? The youth represents, of course, the next generation entrusted carrying forward the culture and tradition. And of course, the elders, they are the guardians, no? They are the guardians of wisdom and enduring values. So how does this relate to decision making? It is very essential for every sector to participate meaningfully. For example, women, youth, in making policies, in decision making, or whatsoever community discussion, there should have a participation from these women, youth, and of course leaders, to ensure that ensuring that a diversity of perspective remains united in advancing sustainable development. Next, please. All right. Now, in terms of traditional knowledge and intergenerational transmission, the project also complements on how to, or number one is to revitalize knowledge, or our revitalized knowledge includes, I'm also excited because this was mentioned from the previous speakers, the language, no? Basically the language. Culture and traditions starts in language. That's my perspective. And it should start at home. It should start at home. So that's why our project, we were able to monitor how many members of the family. If they have 5 members of the family, how many of those members are speaking or using our language in our daily lives. Next, not just language, arts and craft. cultural values, traditional delicacies. It also embraces the stories that should be passed down through the generations. Our indigenous practices of caring the land and community, the customs that shape our identity. It's because all of these are deeply intertwined with our traditional governance system, which is rooted, of course, in collective decision making and respectful elders as well as the community-centered leadership. Now, by preserving these forms of knowledge, we were able to strengthen the very foundation of traditional governance, ensuring that our ways of leading, resolving conflicts, sustaining our remains, sustaining the grounded of wisdom, culture, and shared responsibility. In this way, cultural heritage does not just simply remain in the past. It actively guides us on how we govern, nurture, and protect our community today and, of course, for the future. Next slide, please. Right, we talk about women. Now, how about the youth and elders in terms of transmission of intergenerational transmission of the knowledge, no, traditional knowledge? Youth and elders engaged in during the project or this project are engaged in the transmission of this knowledge despite of various challenges. There are lots of challenges in terms of, the young individuals are or the youth nowadays are also inclined with, the social media. They are more into social media. They are more into, the second challenge, well, particularly in our community, it's not, of course, the families are dreaming that they will send their children to school. However, after they graduated, they went out of the community. In fact, some of them are ambitioning going abroad, working abroad. Now, as what I've mentioned earlier, if you are not in your ancestral domain, if you are not in your territories, there are lots of traditional practices that you cannot perform or that you cannot practice outside of your community. Now, next, these young individuals are actively engaging in practices that sustain traditional knowledge and values. On the other hand, elders are also serve as the knowledge custodian, which are responsible for, of course, transmitting this knowledge. They provide guidance through storytelling, ritual participation, and experiential instructions. Now, this intergenerational engagement or this transfer of knowledge, it facilitates now the transmission of the cultural knowledge in both theoretical and practical forms. No, that ensures that it will be continued, it will pass through to the young generation. Again, the challenge is the focus and the focus and the interest, of course, of the youth. And not just that, there are during the consultations, there are also elders that are not interested, and because they are tired, because they said that, oh my God, I am too old, to transmit this one and this one. So those are challenges. Now, what the project do? Policy making. You have to have this community leader that is rooted and that has an interest to sustain, promote, and protect the culture. No, we have this so-called indigenous peoples mandatory representative, and they are part of the legislation in barangay or in the village, in the municipal, and in the province. Now, to ensure that there is a sustainability of these projects or these interventions, mainly interventions, they have to have this policy. They have to, sponsor or ordinances that supports this traditional knowledge transmission. In that sense, it's not perfect, but at least the government will support in the transmission of the different or various indigenous knowledge. Next, please. In terms of what they call this, how to well, the project, of course, supports the youth and elders in the transmission of knowledge on how, by organizing IP youth at different levels, No, they have to be organized. Like for example, we have these indigenous peoples organizations. Part of that organization, there are IPU representative. They are also organized by involving them, of course, in the discussions about their territory and heritage, and of course by providing spaces like community meetings, cultural ceremonies, and workshops. In that sense, or in that case, they will be engaged, but still, as I've mentioned, there are challenges. It's just that we have to be optimistic. We have to be positive that just a little steps forward, no, to to encourage and let those youth and be interested in embracing the tradition and cultures. Next, please. All right. Before saying thank you, the whole implementation of the project is that um, the indigenous people, territory, and cultural heritage on how to safeguard on that. The project also showed that strengthening first, one of the lessons that I realized while listening is that, or while talking now, is that the strengthening of ancestral domain management must be rooted in the community-led decision-making system, such as indigenous political structure. And there are tools, the IDPP, the community development priorities. Those mechanisms are not just articles, but those are guide on how to protect the land, the resources governance, but also to reinforce the community's right to self-determination. Because we've been claiming this right to self-determination. The government assure us they have this IPRA, no? They have passed the law, but what is the genuine practice or implementation of this self-determination? The community must decide on what is the development that they have seen that is better for them. Second, another lesson is that the cultural safeguarding and environmental protection are deeply interconnected. They're not separate, or they should not be separated. Efforts to preserve traditions naturally support the protection of natural resources, such as this landscape, are the central to our cultural identity, livelihood, and spiritual practices. Now, finally, creating organized spaces for youth participation from barangay to provincial level proved an effective building leadership, promoting cultural pride, and ensuring continuity of heritage work. Empowering these youth alongside with the elders strengthened the social cohesions and planted seed for the long-term sustainability. Overall, this project affirmed that the cultural preservation, territorial governance, and community empowerment must move together. Those three items must move together for indigenous peoples to thrive and maintain the integrity of our ancestral domain. So I think that would be all from my side, and I'm so happy to share those. There are a lot of stories, but time constraints, and I'd love to talk about these experiences, but we are limited. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Randy. Oh, we still have another speaker, but you had already concluded the theme. Now, thank you for that very valuable presentation. It was very engaging. It was full of insights. But we still have another important resource person to be introduced by our program officer from Africa. Faith, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luchi. Juan David, I'd like to introduce our dear partner from Save Lamu. Thank you so much. So next we'll have Hadija Juma Sad. She's a communications officer at Save Lamu organization. She's a young and passionate individual advocating against fossil fuel projects in Lamu. That's the proposed Lamu coal project in Kenya, and the LAPSET, which has violated fishermen's rights, and she is a journalist by profession and a a human rights activist. Basically, Ms. Sad writes articles online and documenting stories on the struggles experienced by the grassroots level in Lamu County. Ms. Sad, you have the floor.
Thank you so much.
You'll be sharing your own presentation, or do you need
Yeah,
help
I'll be
doing that?
sharing. I'll be sharing.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, Faith, for the introduction. And again, once again, good afternoon from Lamu, Kenya. I'm so happy and delighted to be in this platform today to be sharing what we do in terms of protecting our indigenous rights and as the people of Lamu County. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
So to start with, Save Lamu is a community environment organization whose main thing is to raise awareness on the environmental, social, and political challenges facing the peoples of Lamu and its environments. Our major thing is to preserve to preserve the cultural and social identity of the marginalized indigenous communities, so as to have responsible development and use of natural resources. It is an organization which was founded in the year 2009. It's a coalition of indigenous welfare, youth, women groups across Lamu County. But recently we upgraded. Right now we are an NGO, but our scope of work remains the same, just so that to protect our environment and natural resources. Our vision is to create a culturally, socio-economically, in terms of politically empowered communities, striving to secure our natural resources and sustain a green environment. Our mission is to engage communities and stakeholders in decision-making processes, our mission is to engage communities and stakeholders in participatory decision-making processes so as to achieve a sustainable, responsible development. These are some of our core values. It includes integrity, transparency, and accountability. We have unity, inclusivity, and participatory human dignity, determination, and universality. So these are some of our objectives, whereby the first one is to raise awareness on the environmental, social, and political challenges that is facing the people of Lamu. We document and raise awareness on community knowledge and also practices. We also foster sustainable and responsible development and the use of natural resources. We also, another objective is preserving the cultural and social identity of the marginalized indigenous communities in Lamu, advocating and lobby for the community natural resource rights, capacity building for the local community in natural resource rights advocacy, and also enhancing partnerships between local, national, and multinational groups to carry out the above objectives that I've mentioned. So our journey, we started in 2009. It was just a group of people who came together and formed the Lamu Environmental Protection, that is LEPAC, which was uniting groups and individuals. And over the years, the group grew from 12 members to over 70 members up until date. Because right now we have members who are on the board, but also we have community members who act as our focal persons on the ground. And also we were registered in the year 2011. And in 2012, that was when we had the first project, which is the LAPSET project, which was launched by the then President of the Republic of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki, Ethiopian Prime Minister, and South Sudan, whereby they came and launched the Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopian Transport Corridor in Lamu County. Again, in our journey in 2015, I'll dig much more on the LAPSET project as we proceed in my presentation. In 2015, we filed the case against a coal power plant project, which was proposed to be constructed in Lamu County. And As you can see, in 2012, the government had initiated a 16 billion USD LAPSSET project, which many people thought that it will come with a lot of benefits, but it was shock on us. I'll just proceed. In 2018, we have been in and out of court since 2012 to challenge the government in terms of the LAPSSET project. And in 2018, the Environment and Land Court ruled in favor of our community for the fishermen to be compensated with 1.76 billion shillings to cater for the losses incurred, because since the project was initiated, a lot of dredging of the sea was done, which made the lives of fishermen in Lamu County to be at stake. And in May 2021, that was when the operationalization of the first 3 berths of the Lamu port was initiated by the 4th President of the Republic of Kenya, that is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. As I proceed, so as a result of the journey that I've mentioned, we started doing a lot of things like creating awareness meetings in different parts of the county. Here we are sensitizing community on the importance of environmental preservation, because we saw the need of engaging the community more, as our objective and mission and vision states that we ensure participatory decision-making at the grassroots level. This is a mangrove restoration program. We started this initiative way back because since the LAPSSET project was initiated, they destroyed 1,000 of hectares of mangroves. And this was a backlash to us because Lamu County has been dependent on the mangroves since way before independence. And right now, when the project came in, they destroyed mangroves. And it was time for us now to engage communities and start the restoration of the mangroves in Lamu County. And apart from the awareness creation that we usually do, we also engage in special days like World Environment Day. And on this specific one, it was in collaboration with the National Environmental Management Authority. This is a body that is responsible to give out license before implementation of any project. We also had Nature Kenya, the county governor, and all this was to commemorate the day by planting different tree species and held educational activities to promote environmental conservation in Lamu County. Apart from the conservation, we also engage in peaceful procession, but this usually happens when we are trying to communicate to the government in a nice way in terms of the projects that they want to implement in our county. And also, this was specifically with the Lamu fishermen. The case started way back in 2012, and in 2018, the judgment ruled that the fishermen to be compensated with 1.76 billion shillings. But up until 2024, the fishermen had not yet received their compensation. So we opted to go out to the field and demonstrated so that at least the fishermen to get their compensation. But it was victory on our side after a lot of hustle and bustle in fighting for community rights, the fishermen rights, at long last in 2025. Last year, 2024, it was around June, the fishermen started receiving their compensation. And up until now, we are still on the second phase, waiting for the government to initiate or to speed up the process of the fishermen getting their full compensation. This was, again, another demonstration. This was in regards to the Lamu Coal Power Plant project. As you can see, one of the posters here, it's saying that protect the climate, leave it in the ground, and coal is criminal. We are advocating against the investment of a coal power plant project, which the government wanted to initiate it here in Lamu County. And after a lot of research, we came to realize that this project is harmful to our bodies, is harmful to our health, health, to our environment, our biodiversity. So it's something that we didn't want to come to our region because it will come and distract a lot of things which we've been protecting for generations. So this was also another community engagement whereby we were just discussing on the second phase of the fishermen compensation on the remaining 35% of sustainable development. The compensation process was divided into two. We had the 65% cash transfer, which was deposited into the fishermen's account, but then again, we have another 35%, which is meant for sustainable development. Yeah, well, in our work, it's so hard to collaborate with the county government, with the government initiatives, because bearing in mind that we are fighting against government projects, then automatically we become an enemy of the state. So in so many scenarios, the government has tagged us as anti-development because of opposing the government projects. But then this was last year after the county government finally signed the consent and agreement forms of the fishermen to be able to receive their compensation. All this is in the on the way, or rather in the urge to make sure that the fishermen gets their full rights. We also engage in coastal-led cleanup and conservation. This was in one of the sites whereby we've been, before we did our mangrove restoration, which was supported by Pawanka Fund, and we were doing just the cleaning along the shores, and later on we did the mangrove restoration. We're not only planting mangrove, but also reduce plastic pollution, because where we are in an island whereby we need to save the island not only from harmful projects, but also from air pollution, water pollution, because at the end of the day, the sea is our life, and our life is fully dependent on the natural resources that is found on the sea. This is another project, which it's a beekeeping project, whereby it's in collaborative with the Mangrove Project, and it was an alternative livelihood whereby we initiated a program after the Lamu fishermen livelihoods were affected by the LAPSET project. We came with an idea after having the mangrove restoration and initiated a sustainable project that is the beekeeping within some certain villages in Lamu County, so that they can be able to sustain their lives. This was another coastal region and World Bee Day Expo. So the communities that we supported to start up mangrove nurseries and beekeeping business, so we gave them platform to advertise their products, and this was in the annual Green Expo for the coastal region. This was spearheaded by the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA. We got the chance to display our work as an organization, but also the groups that we are supporting in terms of the beekeeping and mangrove restoration projects. Among the things that we do, this is an LAPSET Community Forum. We came up with this forum in the year 2021. This was after we had a sit down and saw that this project, the LAPSET stand for Lamu Port, South Sudan Ethiopian Transport Corridor. So we have many counties whom the LAPSET corridor has passed through their regions, and this initiative aims to bring communities who are affected by the LAPSET project coming together, discussing our issues that is affecting us directly or indirectly in terms of the project, and what steps need to be taken in order to protect the well-being of our communities and in terms of development. This was a knowledge sharing with communities in a county known as Isiolo and Lokichar on the LAPSET Community Forum. It was just understanding how the communities there are fighting, or rather are protecting the rights of the communities living in their areas, and sharing experiences, then finding solutions. Land ownership and dispute resolutions. This is something that have been this is something that has not been so good in our region, because in 2012, when the government initiated the LAPSSET project, a lot of people were evicted from their lands to pave way for the LAPSSET project. And most of them came running to us, wanting us to help them. And now it was time for us. We've been in and out of the court to make sure that the fishermen or the farmers get their rights. And during that time, we brought together different stakeholders, and it was all about educating them on land ownership, dispute resolution, because we've had a lot of disputes whereby the government, recently the government evicted some of the farmers who are still residing at the port side area, and without even doing proper compensation. So what we did, we're still in court with the LAPSSET case, but then again, we have these farmers whose livelihoods have been affected, whose livelihood has been put at stake because they can no longer do farming at their area, which makes it very hard for them to earn a living. And that's why we come with alternatives like beekeeping projects to enhance their livelihoods. This was another awareness creation on the impacts of fossil fuel projects. We created awareness on the impact of the Lamu Coal Power Plant project, because we saw the need that the government wanted to impose this project, and we rotated in almost all the parts of the county, from the east side of Lamu, the west side of Lamu, and the Lamu Central. Apart from being an advocacy organization, despite working on emails, sending emails to relevant bodies like the National Environmental Management Authority, the Kenya Forest Services, and having one-on-one conversation with the community, we also resolve in having radio talk shows so that we get to air our voices and the communities at the lowest grassroots levels to be able to know and be up to date on what is currently happening. This was a partners meeting whereby we had around different partners meeting with different partners that we've been working closely with. This is just an example whereby we had our legal partner who has been helping us a lot in terms of the LAPSSET project and the coal plant project. A digital security training. This training, we usually have it often because being an organization which is fighting against government project, it becomes very risky for us at times, because several times our office has been ransacked, our office valuables been stolen, taken away by police officers for interrogations, and it's something which is really frustrating us as an organization, but it's not bringing us down, because we believe in the spirit of forward ever, backwards never. This is another project which is based in Kwale County, that is the Best Titanium, and the Best Titanium project had come to its end starting this year, and they wanted to extend their wings to Lamu County, being a region whereby we see mining, something to do with mining as a threat in our region. It was now time for us to dig more and know what this project is all about. And we had a site visit at that region, have a community consultative meetings with those communities living around that areas. We wanted to understand what this project is all about. Has it affected the lives of common citizens in their areas? If yes, we will want that project to be implemented in our region, because we've had scenarios before, like the Lamu Coal Power Plant project, whereby we had research from different countries. At some point, we even took our members to India and South Africa, so just they go to witness how the project has impacted the lives of common citizens, and how the project initiator is benefiting from the project, not caring how it's impacting the lives of common citizens. This is a Lamu Cultural Festival. In Lamu, it's always done annually, and we collaborated with different organizations, and we had our both exhibitions, so just we share our highlights on what we are doing. And on this photo, this is the Lamu County Governor. As I mentioned earlier, you remember that I told you it's been hard for us in the recent years to work together with the government because they usually see us as threat, as anti-development, because we're opposing the government project. But in occasions like these ones, it creates a platform for us to be able to share our achievements, our challenges, our success stories over the years, and also way forward. And also to be able to tell the relevant authorities on our demands on what we want to achieve in the few coming years in terms of protecting our environment. So these are some of our achievements that we achieved since the organization started. So we have been doing a lot of advocacy on the coal power plant project since the year 2015. And on 20th November, that was after a lot of back and forth consultation, face-to-face consultation, writing emails, sending fax. The Industrial Commercial Bank of China withdrew from financing the Lamu coal power plant project. This bank had initially stated that they will support the Lamu coal power plant project. So it was victory on our side that they withdrew and no longer supporting the project. In November, we had the African Development Bank, who also announced not to finance the Lamu coal power plant project. That was after our advocacy, our strong advocacy towards or against the project. And again, in 2024, the Environment and Land Court in Malindi virtually gave directions on Amu Power. Amu Power is the private company that was contracted to construct the Lamu coal power plant project, whereby we appealed challenging the NET's decision. That is the National Environmental Tribunal on the 26th of June to revoke the environmental license. And we are all about environment and environment organization, protecting our environment against harmful projects. Again, in 6th February, Amu Power and Save Lamu was given time to highlight aspects of the case. Again, in March, this was also on the coal power plant project. We went to court, but nothing happened. On 29th May, again, the ruling was postponed and victory was found on October 2025 this year. So we are rejoicing and having victory that after a long endurance of back and forth, sending letters, going to the court, at long last, the government finally stopped the Lamu coal power plant project. And these are some of our achievements. We won the case against Lapset in 2018. Fishermen were awarded 1.76 billion shillings. We won the case in 2025, successfully advocated for compensation for affected fishermen. The AFDB and ICBC pulled out from financing the coal plant. And last but not least, we gained national and international recognition. And these are some of the challenges that we face as an organization: lack of political goodwill, threats and intimidations. That includes the office theft, some our laptops being stolen, being tracked. We also had forceful arrests. Some of our members were arrested during a peaceful protest. And the Constitution of Kenya clearly states that every Kenyan has the right to demonstrate, to assemble, to clean and healthy environment. Also facing community backlash as a result of fighting against the project. Now, the project proponent was trying to use a technique whereby they can try and convince the community otherwise that Save Lamu is just fighting a project which will bring a lot of benefits. And coming from a community whereby a majority of the community members live below $1, it becomes a bit challenging because they see this as an opportunity to bring employment opportunities, but then there are a lot of negative impacts that will come as a result of the project. Lastly, the security factor. Al-Shabaab is a terror attack, a terror group attack, which is here in Kenya. And since we are fighting the project, the government in most cases tagged us as anti-development, linked us to militia group like Al-Shabaab. And it has been a challenge to us because for the longest time, we have been seen as enemy of progress here in Lamu County. Yeah, I'd like just to conclude by one thing. That Lamu is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we got this title in the year 2003. And all this was coming to a threat because of these developing projects. And some of the threats include the large-scale development, the ports infrastructure, land grabbing and insecure tenure, climate change, overfishing and illegal practices, deforestation, and habitat loss. With those few remarks, thank you very much, and I welcome any questions in case you have any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hadija, for sharing your journey, the journey of your organization and the indigenous peoples of Lamu, from the proposed Lamu Call project and the LAPSET and how this has inspired your initiative, and also working through the challenges with the county government. We definitely can hear your passion in the way that you've implemented your work, in the way that you present it to us. And we do celebrate your wins with you, your achievements. And so thank you so much for sharing your initiative. We will now move on to a question and answer interactive session. We will give the floor to any of the partners who have questions to our speakers today. You can put it in the chat, or you can also raise your hand so that we can give you the floor to ask or to give any comments you may have. Meanwhile, I would just like to personally ask, because I'm curious, from Erhilio, Rande, and Hadija, what internal transformations do you see in your own organizations, in your leadership, and at the community level, in the way that you make decisions? Because decision making is something that has been talked about widely today in this session, and I'm really curious to hear what your reflections are on this. So I'll be checking to see if I have anyone who's raised any hands or any questions. Luchi, you may help me here, and we can go back to the speakers to answer any of the questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to check the chat box if there are questions here. Yeah, are there questions from our participants? Or sharing? They can also share, no?
Definitely,
similar
yes.
experiences, similar challenges. Yeah, I think some of you already put your questions in the chat box, and they have been already answered by the concerned resource person. And I'm really, yeah, because there's so many things to share, no? According to Randy, there's so many stories, but always time is running out on us. But it was, yeah.
We have one question, Luchi, on the chat. The presentation from Erhilio was very interesting, especially the part about how youth are involved in the rituals. My question is, how do you keep young people interested in these rituals and other traditional ceremonies and amid modernization and globalization, when many of them view indigenous practices as outdated? Thank you so much, Regina. So I'll just turn back to the presenters. Maybe Erhilio could start from you, and we can.
I think Erhilio, he sent me a message that his internet, his connectivity has already didn't work for him. So I think his colleague from Centro Juventud can answer that. Are you still here? Do we have a colleague of Erhilio? I think they both lost their connectivity already. But you know, yeah, I would just like to share something, if you would allow me, about that question. I remember in one of our community visits, we asked the same question: how do we sustain the youth's interest in traditional knowledge? Because they are the ones who will bear all this, knowledge and practices, so that they can conserve and manage their territories. And you know what they said? We have all this modern technology, but we, the teachers, the elders, we try to tell them that they have to set aside their gadgets, and they have to learn to appreciate the traditional or the material culture that they have. So they are encouraged to go into music learning, sitting down to listen to stories, and then, touch material like basket, weaving, tapestry, or cloth weaving. So it's a painstaking process, but I think it's really taking effect in so many communities, because the youth are realizing that their identity should be translated into the way how they practically live, each day. And whether they stay in the community or go elsewhere, they will carry that identity with them. That was
Thank
one
you.
sharing of one community, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because the youth are placed in a very unique position between the modern world and also going back to their community. So this is more of also an advantage to the community to continue their traditional knowledge and practices. And also, like, I was able to participate in the COP30 discussions, and I'm really proud of how the youth are taking up the leadership to also, carry on these conversations even in their own small spaces back home. So, Rande, your
Yeah.
hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a reflection on the questions, although it was not addressed to me, but similar experiences is that one of our strategies that we make, because it's a worldwide concern, the interest, and the how to encourage the young individuals to embrace the culture and tradition. It's a continuous challenge, but little steps that we did in our one of the other communities is that we tried to digitalize some of the cultural practices. Like, we recorded the dance, we recorded on how we prepare our traditional food, we recorded our history of the community, and the local stories, no? And then we shared it within the community, because everyone there has their own cell phone. Even in the mountainous areas, there are, because in the Philippines, in our areas, there are business people who put up businesses. You can just drop a coin in a machine, and then you will have the internet connection. No? So what we did is that we digitalized, and we were able to see that somehow it helps on how the youth, the young individuals, the grade school pupils to engage, and how do you so it's quite interesting. So it's a little steps, but we can still develop more strategic actions towards how do we have to fully engage the young individual. I'm just happy to share those little steps that we did. Thank you.
Hadija,
Thank you,
any reflections?
Do we have other questions, other insights?
Adolphe, you have the floor.
Oui, merci de la parole. Je remercie l'organisateur et tous les intervenants. C'est vraiment très, très capital. Je fais d'abord une suggestion. Une telle réunion avec autant d'intervenants ferait peut-être l'objet d'un grand séminaire qui prendrait quelques jours pour approfondir les aspects des questions qui sont abordées. Mais cela, dépend de des financements, des disponibilités, ainsi de suite. Bon, si à la prochaine, on peut organiser, je ne sais pas, peut-être une semaine de webinaire comme ça, et peut-être s'il y a des fonds, une réunion en présentiel pour développer davantage toutes les questions qui ont été soulevées là. Mais mes questions sont les suivantes. La sécurisation des terres et forêts autochtones connaît un véritable problème parce que ces forêts-là constituent le socle de notre identité, de notre culture, de notre spiritualité. Mais pour arriver à les sécuriser, à les protéger, il faut un appui institutionnel, et un appui financier et juridique. Mais les Autochtones n'ont pas autant d'atouts pour y parvenir. Alors la question, c'est celle-ci. Est-ce qu'il y a un mécanisme approprié auquel les peuples autochtones peuvent s'adresser pour sécuriser leurs forêts? C'est ça la première question. La deuxième, j'ai suivi l'un des intervenants dire que dans la forêt, nous procédons à des cérémonies ou à des rituels lorsqu'il faut s'aimer, lorsqu'il faut récolter, lorsqu'il faut organiser la chasse. Mais ces rituels-là ou ces cérémonies-là se font dans nos propres langues parce qu'il y a un rapport direct entre nos langues et nos forêts. Nous sommes pendant la décennie internationale des langues autochtones. Or, nous remarquons que ces langues sont en train de disparaître. Qu'est-ce que l'organisateur pense pour pouvoir valoriser ces langues autochtones-là qui sont en étroite relation avec nos forêts, avec nos territoires? Et la dernière question concerne ma communauté dont les cimetières qui constituent les sites sacrés est déjà envahi par d'autres communautés qui ont acheté ainsi de suite. J'ai mené des démarches, ça n'a pas abouti. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut pour que ces sites sacrés, que les cimetières ne puissent pas être abîmés, ne puissent pas être désacralisés et que nous puissions le protéger? Merci bien de votre attention et j'espère que je me suis expliqué, vous m'avez bien compris. Merci. Hello?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adolphe. Faith, can you
Thank you so much, Adolphe, for your questions. And also speakers from the first part of the session can also come in if you have any reflections, and also any of the participants who are also here to share some of your experiences around Adolphe's questions are welcomed.
do we see hands raising to answer Adolphe's questions? They're very important questions. I mean, I'm sure many of us who are having these projects are encountering the same challenges that he posed. There was one very crucial question. The use of language, which also Randy also mentioned a while back. Again, if I may share, I mean, if there are no other sharing from other partners or resource persons, there's one experience of our partner in Thailand where the mother tongue or the indigenous language is already taught at the primary level among children. And what is in the curriculum? They are words that are related to their environment, to their culture. I'm referring to the Karen people, no? So the children as young as, I think, 3 or 4, they start with the basics, learning about their culture, their practices, and what are the activities that are sustained by their community, so that right away they relate with the environment, and that when they say these words, They identify their community, their culture with their environment. There's very deep spirituality also. So it carries until they become young. And then because as Randy said also, no, they're very technically equipped. They can use their these innovative ideas in promoting their culture. Do we have other contribution of insights to that? Yeah, I think he also mentioned about challenges, no? How the non-recognition of territorial, what do you call the demarcation. But that was also answered, I think, by Trifonia. When you demarcate, when you delineate, when you map your territories, it is already sign of self-determined ownership, no, of your territory. And it is a continuing lobbying advocacy work with the state, because we're working for them to recognize that it is the ownership of the indigenous communities, and they have the capacity to manage the resources within these territories.
Mm-hmm. And that's very good, Lucian. We also have one question from the chat on cultural indicators by Sauli. My question is about cultural indicators of well-being and how to determine this, which was something that was already shared by Ergilio as well. And this is also part of our, cultural indicators as Pawanka with our partners, where we require that you also share with us how, what well-being means to you, because that's the starting point for different communities, because well-being means differently for different communities. And that's when we're able to, define how to report on and also to monitor the well-being in different communities. Because for others, well-being could be a social aspect, a cultural aspect of the community, a spiritual, economic. It could also be something to do with the environment, and ensuring that there's conservation of that. And so developing indicators around different aspects of well-being has been important for our partners to, self determine what this means to them, and also, determine what kind of monitoring they would like to do around the different social and well-being that they define themselves. Randy, you also had your hand up.
Oh, right. I think I've missed the question about the language, but I've heard about Miss Luchi saying about the language. I'd like to share before in 2019. This is not a part of what project that we are implementing last year, but one of the experiences of SILDAP is in implementing indigenous people's education, because in way back in 1980 up to 2018, SILDAP Southeastern Mindanao has its own community indigenous schools. And part of the curriculum, of course, we have the basic education like the math, the English, the Filipino, the language. But in the mode of teaching, the language that we use is the language that is in the community. And like, for example, you teach a child or a learner on how to count. You are using, instead of mainstream materials, you are using traditional varieties of corn. Now you are hitting two birds with one stone. You taught them on how to count, but you also told them, or you are also, introducing to them what's the name or what's the variety of that certain corn seed. So, the importance, what I'm trying to say is, of course, the importance of preserving the language. Second, on the challenges about recognition of territories, yes, definitely it's very hard. It's very, it's very challenging. And in fact, once you are recognized, well, I'm talking about in the context of our community, we are already recognized. We have already our certificate of ancestral domain title. Now, it doesn't stop there, because you should know, or community people, community members, particularly the leaders itself, should know on how to manage and utilize those resources within their territories. Otherwise, they will be, influenced by business people, by, external people, external business entities, and the self-governance will be vanished. They will not be practiced. They will not be able to practice the self-determination. So it doesn't stop there, but it is very valid question, the challenges, or it's a very valid input or question on the challenges, the non-recognition of the territories. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. We have Miss Rhoda raise her hand. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. I'm happy to learn from many experienced people on the language, and I would like to say that as PASEP, or Pastoral Community Empowerment Program, we are doing language revitalization project, and what we are doing to preserve the language and the knowledge from the traditional people who are getting old. We've recorded some, and especially on the issue of the education, integrating the language to education. It has been hard, but we've tried, and we've made charts where we have the Pokot language alphabets, and we give to the children, and we give to the schools. And already we have made 25 schools to get that. But what I have seen is that we started with the pilot schools, and the children are taught on how to pronounce. The elders make audio of our vowels and audio of our alphabet, so that they are able to pronounce exactly in the way that we want them to realize the culture, and also naming of the trees in our language, and planting and teaching the children on how to pronounce and even name trees and plant them. Another thing which we have done to preserve the language is the issue of making the singing games for the children, and they sing in the language, sing the songs, play, and also show us, talk with us on issues of the stories, the folk tales, the riddles in the language. So to make sure that these children are getting to know the language and preserve it and to continue the language, and making clubs in different schools for those who are interested, especially the small ones in grade 1 to grade 6, so that the language can be inculcated in the early stage. So that's how it is. But on the issue of the territories, it is also hard on our side, especially now that the gold miners from different parts of the world are coming here to extract gold. It has been a problem, and it is a problem that we need to solve, which has not yet had a solution. But we are trying to make sure that we create awareness, especially through the radio programs, so that the wider population can hear and react in the right way and know their rights. And also on use of the language, we use the radio so that the more children which we cannot reach in different parts can also listen and get the knowledge and the language. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rhoda. And I really just want to acknowledge the fact that you said it's not easy, but the thing is, communities are starting somewhere with their interventions, and revitalization requires intentionality, that we actually want to do this, and putting in the time and the energy to actually start somewhere and push forward with the initiatives that they are implementing. Hadija, your hand is raised.
Thank you so much, Faith. Okay, my question goes to Limsa. When she was doing her presentation, she mentioned something to do with they were engaging government officials, inviting them to their meetings. And so my question is, how closely do you work with the government, either local or national government in your region?
Sorry, Hadija, your question is directed to who?
To Limsa, Mercedes Limsa.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Mercedes.
Yeah. As I go, yeah, with regards to like coordination with the agencies, the local government units, this is a challenging, struggling, but we continue to do because again, with regards to the ancestral domain, yeah, it's true. It's hard for, the non-recognition, but we are always keeping saying to our tribal people, to our tribal brothers that at the moment we are just caretakers of this land. So this will be for our future generations. So um, the strategies on like coordination with these government agencies, particularly what I mentioned earlier, these three government agencies, we continue the dialogues, the meetings, whatever. It's like we reach out, we send letters, we send petitions, or whatever we can do just for them to recognize us. So we never stop in doing that. It's hard, but we are hoping sometime, especially the ancestral domain titling, the permits, they will give to us. Again, it's a long process. It's a long battle. It's a challenging for us. Also, that's why we are strengthening our leaders that be part in the barangay council level to the municipal and provincial level so that we can have our voice to bring and raise issues that concern with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. If we don't have any additional hands up or questions, then we will proceed to closing our session today. And I would just like to share a few reflections of my key takeaways from this session. So across the shared experiences, there's been a couple of central themes that I have picked up. One would be Indigenous peoples continue to defend their lands, their territories, and cultural heritage. And amid longstanding legal and environmental pressures, communities have been very intentional about preserving their traditional knowledge, ensuring their rights, protection, while simultaneously working at the grassroots to strengthen awareness, build cultural identities, and to transmit knowledge to younger generations. So these efforts will continue for me to highlight the deep commitment to safeguarding ancestral territories and lands as a foundation to cultural survival and self-determination, because also what I picked up was what Jarabel said, that land is a sacred trust, and also Randy shared that ancestral domain is everything. Without it, we cannot achieve self-determined development, which also summarizes the whole point that, Indigenous peoples are actually safeguarding their ancestral land and territories for far more, benefits than just, accessing land and using what the land can give, but also, it's this connection between the people and the land and their spirituality. My second, takeaway and cross-cutting issue that I've had throughout the presentation is that there's a big vital role that the community is playing through their own self-organizing, creating partnerships and intergenerational engagement that they're carrying out as their own self-determined initiatives, strengthening customary governance, documenting sustainable resource practices such as forest stewardship that has been shared, and also coastal conservation, be it revitalization of Indigenous knowledge and languages and spiritual practices. All these I noted are very essential for actions at community level that continue to be scaled up in the different initiatives that have been shared. Also, it's been very clear through all the presentations that women and youth emerged as key actors. women and elders as custodians of knowledge, and also the youth as future carriers of and preservers of the traditional knowledge and cultural identity. And so, there's been diverse tools such as biocultural protocol, indigenous knowledge systems, local media, intergenerational knowledge dialogues, and also, different initiatives that have been shared through which traditional knowledge is being passed by the communities to demonstrate how they're also innovating and maintaining and restoring their relationship with nature. But, there's been a couple of very many challenges that have been shared by the partners. But I see this, despite the challenges that has been shared, the stories that they also shared today, affirm that Indigenous peoples still hold a powerful position. They have these solutions that are grounded in ancestral knowledge, cultural continuity, and, collective action. And I will just share, and perhaps I'm paraphrasing the quote that was shared here today, that it should start from home. Change starts with us, as has been shared by the speakers today, also summarizes this. So the initiatives, have shown that the communities lead, that the impact they're doing at community level has scaled up, and the impact, extends beyond just the community level and local boundaries, but can be seen at global level and contribute to different efforts at that level on climate resilience, biodiversity conservation, and also Indigenous peoples' efforts to revitalize their own language and cultures. So in the spirit of forward ever and backward never, that's been shared by our partner Save Lamu, I will then give the floor to Luchi, who will then add to whatever I have shared, and also move on to closing the event. So it's been truly inspiring to hear from you all. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. As we say in Pawanka, we learn from our partners as we accompany them in all their initiatives. No, so for this particular theme, today's webinar, this dialogue, it builds on significant advances in our region, Africa and Asia. From the growing recognition of Indigenous-led conservation, which affirms that Indigenous governance is central to sustaining ecosystems and cultures. This webinar was an opportunity to bring our partners, our knowledge holders, and networks of partners together to reflect on these milestones and deepen our shared commitments, to deepen our understanding of what Indigenous stewardship is, to share experiences and innovations, to strengthen Indigenous leadership and advocacy in defending our lands, waters, and our rights, and to promote, of course, cross-regional learning rooted in self-determination. We also hope to uplift the cultural dimensions of territorial governance and document insights that strengthen Pawanka Fund's initiatives across the globe. So I'm Luchi Maranan, Program Officer for Asia. I thank you for being here, for our continuing guardianship of territories, and for the solidarity you bring to this shared journey. We will continue our conversation with open hearts and a collective vision for the well-being of Mother Earth and our communities. So I thank Faith also for facilitating this learning space this afternoon. And now I give the floor to our grant-making officer, Grant-Making and Partnership Officer, Edna Captoyo, and then to our Communications Officer, to whom we are so grateful for everything, for putting this seamlessly. Edna, please.
Thank you, Luchi Seronyowo, and thank you, Faith, as well, for your moderation, but also a big thank you to our partners. I think this session can't happen without you. And we've had an interesting conversation. I think the learning has been amazing. And also it's nice to hear your stories, And the main aim of this session is to really support you as well, to connect those from Asia, those from Africa. You have some similar challenges or unique one, some best practices. So please feel free to reach out to Luchi, Faith, they can connect you to whoever you are interested in to build those bridges, as we said earlier, because we can only build solidarity as Indigenous people if we connect more, co-create solution relationship. We've had partners from Asia Pacific, Africa, even doing joint projects, with those from Asia and also Africa, and Pawanga has been able to support that. So we hope you keep the connections going and hope whatever was shared today resonates with you. At least take one thing that you can implement or one learning that you also continue to share with others. We'll share the recording of this session, and also the PowerPoints that were shared and other materials. And we hope to connect with you in other future conversations. So thank you for your time on behalf of the Pawanka team, the Pawanka Guiding Committee. We appreciate your incredible work that you do at the different levels, and we'll continue to support you and accompany you. And also to our interpreter, Michelle, thank you for keeping the conversation. We couldn't have French without your support. And so Soronyo, and hope we continue connecting together. Thank you.
Thank you. Wandavid, do we have photo take out? Yeah, for posterity.
Yeah, that's right. We can take a photo.
Please turn on your videos, your cameras.
We'll give some seconds before we take the photo. Okay, I think that's right. I am going to take the photo in 3, 2, 1, and smile. Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much.
Second panel.
Okay, thank you. I will send the photo by chat, by mail, for those who want it. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Did you
Wandavid.
take photo of 2 panels, Wandavid? Yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Merci beaucoup. Oh, that's the only French I know. Merci beaucoup. Abu.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you po.